This is the story of a homeless man that became rich. Our story today begins in Boston, where we meet a 25-year-old man who's become so desperate he's sleeping out on the streets. This was not where Connor had seen himself at this stage of his life. In fact, he had big dreams for himself, dreams that were slowly being crushed under the weight of his circumstances. He knew if he didn't do something drastic soon, he would end up dying on those streets. So he walks into a local church and asks if they have any food donations or anything that could help him survive the night. The priest was moved by the young man's story and decided to help him. He gave him some food and money and told him to go home and rest, but there was no home for Connor to go back to. Still, he thanked the priest for his donation and went back out onto the cold streets. As he's walking, he sees an open door and walks inside. To his surprise, it's a shoe store, but it's closed for the night. However, one of the employees had forgotten to lock the front door. Connor was cold, wet, and hungry. And when he saw the locked door, he panicked because he didn't want to spend another night out on the street. That's when he noticed a sign above the counter that said, "If you are hungry, take what you need." There were also some coats and blankets next to the sign. Connor took a blanket and a coat and thanked the employee who had left. The next morning, Connor woke up early and immediately regretted what he had done. He knew stealing was wrong, but he had no choice. If he hadn't taken that blanket and coat, he would have frozen to death on those streets. Feeling awful, he decided to return the items and explain what had happened. When he returned the items, the owner of the store saw the dirt on Connor's clothes and the sadness in his eyes. He asked Connor what had happened, and Connor explained everything to him. The owner of the store felt bad for the young man and offered him a job as a cleaner at night. It wasn't much, but it was enough for Connor to survive. For several months, Connor worked in the store and saved every penny. He was finally able to buy himself some new clothes and a place to stay. Although he was working hard, he still spent most of his days looking for food in the trash cans around the city. One day, while searching through a dumpster behind a grocery store, he found something incredible. It was a lottery ticket worth $1 million. Connor couldn't believe his luck. After all the bad things that had happened to him, this was finally a break. With this money, he could get his life back on track and never have to worry about being poor again. Over the next few weeks, Connor used the money to start his own business. He invested in a food truck and began selling meals to people who were going through tough times like him. He also donated money to the church and the store owner who had helped him when he was down on his luck. Connor was happy with how he was spending the money, but he knew that it wouldn't last forever. So he decided to invest some of it in a more secure way. That's when he met with a financial advisor named Michael. Michael was impressed by Connor's story and wanted to help him make smart investments with his money. Together, they created a plan that would allow Connor to live comfortably for the rest of his life without running out of money. Michael explained to Connor that investing was important to ensure that the money lasted as long as possible. He showed Connor how to diversify his investments across different asset classes, such as stocks, bonds, and real estate. Connor listened attentively and was eager to learn more. He knew that managing his money properly was crucial to securing his future. After the meeting, Connor felt confident that he was in good hands. He trusted Michael's expertise and was grateful for his guidance. With the help of his financial advisor, Connor was able to grow his wealth and make even more money. He continued to run his food truck and help those in need, all while ensuring that his investments were on track. Over the years, Connor became a successful businessman and philanthropist. His story inspired many people to pursue their dreams and never give up hope, no matter how difficult the situation may seem. Now that Connor had money, he wanted to enjoy himself a little. And what better way to do that than to buy a brand new car? He went to a dealership and bought a luxurious vehicle that he had always dreamed of owning. Connor loved driving around town in his fancy car. It was a symbol of his success and a reminder of how far he had come from his humble beginnings. One day while Connor was driving his new car, he saw a group of kids staring at it as he drove past them. He slowed down and asked them if they wanted to take a ride in his car. The kids' eyes lit up with excitement and they jumped into the car. Connor drove them around the block, showing them the fancy features of his vehicle. The kids were amazed by the car and asked Connor if they could come back tomorrow for another ride. Connor agreed, and the kids ran home excitedly telling their friends about the amazing car they had seen. The next day, Connor arrived at the same spot and the kids were waiting for him. He took them for another ride and then asked them what they wanted to do next. The kids suggested going to the amusement park, and Connor agreed. He drove them to the park and bought them tickets for the rides. The kids had the time of their lives. They went on roller coasters, played games, and won prizes. Connor watched them having fun and felt happy that he was able to make their day. As the day came to an end, Connor drove the kids back home. They thanked him for the amazing day and promised to never forget it. Connor smiled and waved goodbye. From that day on, Connor made it a habit to take underprivileged kids on fun outings. He organized trips to museums, sporting events, and other places of interest. He wanted to show them that despite their circumstances, they could still have fun and enjoy life. Connor's generosity and kindness made a lasting impact on the kids and their families. They were grateful for his thoughtfulness and appreciated the memories they had created together. Connor continued to live his life, helping others and making the most of his good fortune. He never forgot where he had come from and always tried to give back whenever he could. The valuable life lessons he had learned along the way, such as the importance of investing and planning for the future, helped him become not only wealthy, but also wise. One evening, while enjoying a meal at a restaurant, Connor spotted a familiar face. It was the store owner who had given him a job after finding the stolen blanket. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Connor approached the man and expressed his appreciation for the opportunity he had been given years ago. The store owner, now retired, was delighted to see how far Connor had come since their first meeting. They engaged in conversation, reminiscing about the past and discussing Connor's philanthropic endeavors. As they talked, Connor realized that true wealth lay not just in material possessions or monetary gain, but also in the positive impact one could have on others' lives. The encounter left Connor feeling blessed for having such a supportive community around him and inspired to continue using his wealth to make a difference in the world. One day, while browsing through a newspaper, Connor stumbled upon an article that caught his attention. It detailed the struggles of a local animal shelter that was overcrowded and in need of donations. Moved by the plight of the animals, Connor decided to visit the shelter and see how he could help. Upon arriving, he was deeply affected by the conditions the animals were living in. There were dogs, cats, rabbits, and other creatures, all hoping for a chance at a better life. Determined to make a positive impact, Connor opened his checkbook and wrote a substantial donation. The shelter's manager, a kind woman named Sarah, was overwhelmed with gratitude. She explained that the donation would help provide food, medical care, and shelter for the animals until they found their forever homes. Touched by Sarah's dedication and the animals' hopeful eyes, Connor continued to support the shelter with regular donations and volunteer work. Word spread about Connor's generosity, and other individuals and businesses began contributing as well. The shelter saw a surge in donations and was able to improve its facilities and services for the animals. Thanks to Connor's compassionate heart and willingness to help, countless animals were given a second chance at happiness and eventually adopted into loving families. Connor's act of kindness not only saved the animals, but also inspired others to embrace compassion and giving back to the community. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe,